Supposedly, I was going to make a guide for the new Deep Archimedia mission in Warframe. However, I decided to wait until this week's rotation to get more grasp on the new game mode. Now, I know you are kind of confused about the title and how it's connected to the new Deep Archimedia mission, so let me tell you how this new game mode insinuated using the meta in Warframe instead of using other fun Warframe and weapon combos in the game. Instead of a walkthrough guide on Deep Archimedia, I will share with you my experience and some strategies that will make Deep Archimedia easy while using any loadout suggestions. What you are going to see in this guide is the reality of the mission, things that you should not do, and some sort of foolproof guide on how not to fail the mission. The mission is locked and only accessible by players who have already max ranked their Cavia Syndicate standings. But before getting here, you must do and finish a lot of missions and quests to even access the Whispers in the Walls content. Once you gain access, you now need to spend 2 Netracell tokens each week to play the Deep Archimedia mission. Basically, you can do 1 Deep Archimedia and 3 Netracell missions per week if you decide to access the new game mode. The Deep Archimedia will have different debuffs that you can pick to make the mission harder but rewarding. It also has modifiers and loadout suggestions to increase your reward tier. If you have all loadout suggestions and decided to enable all debuffs, then you will get a chance to get all reward tiers, including the last reward in the Elite Deep Archimedia, assuming that you also enabled the Elite, or should I say the hard mode version of this new game mode. Elite Deep Archimedia is not very hard though, and the final rewards is kind of pathetic in my opinion. This may sound like nitpicking, but I don't like the idea of having Vosphor as the final reward for the Elite Deep Archimedia, and I dubbed it as the biggest trap in this new game mode. You can farm these resources easily by doing Steel Path runs or Void Cascade missions, and then turn all the unwanted arcanes you have to Vosphor through the Arcane Dissolution system. This is my initial thought, but I think I now get why Digital Extremes did this in the game mode. I think they have planned to give Vosphor as an optional reward at the very end of the Elite Deep Archimedia reward pool, as I think that they want players to have the option to take out a debuff or even use their favorite weapon or Warframe so that the Elite version will be easier. This is where you somehow are being forced to play the meta, and after running several Elite Deep Archimedia, with or without rewards, it's now obvious that I want to run the meta primary weapon called Incarnate Torrid in the Elite Deep Archimedia. Now, the Incarnate Torrid is not a one-shot machine or a perfect room cleaner in Elite Deep Archimedia. Instead, it's a weapon enough so you won't fail the mission. It's kind of obvious actually, since the Incarnate Torrid has all the things needed to make the mission easier for all Warframe players. First of all, you don't need to worry about any ammunition economy with the gun, as you will draw ammo from its Incarnate pool most of the time. The best part is, it's one of those weapons that can easily activate its Incarnate form. You only need direct hits from the normal shot, unlike the other weapons that requires accurate headshots to fill its Incarnate bar. Secondly, it's a beam weapon that can hit multiple targets at once. With a galvanized status plus high critical build, you can turn the gun into a weapon that is good enough to kill trash mobs, Xmas units, enemy necromech in the new Disruption mission, and also fragmented bosses which are present in the Deep Archimedia mission. In fact, the Deep Archimedia mission that I have this week showcased how I needed the Incarnate Torrid in my arsenal to help my team complete all the missions in the easiest way possible. At first run in Elite Deep Archimedia, my team managed to get until the fragmented boss fight, but we got wiped out in the boss fight because of the high volume of Xmas units supporting the fragmented one. You may call it a skill issue, but for most Warframe players, we prefer to use a loadout which will help us farm what we need in the game faster. Warframe is a big farming simulator game, and in Deep Archimedia, you will get high chances of getting Archon Shards as rewards. These Archon Shards are used to further improve the power level of your Warframe so you can do level cap missions if you like to, or just use that loadout to feel good as you obliterate Steel Path enemies. At the moment, there's no such thing as testing your builds in endgame content. Now, after I switched to Incarnate Torrid, the second try on the Elite Deep Archimedia was a cakewalk. I can easily clear enemies with the build I was using for the Incarnate Torrid, and we were able to take down the fragmented boss with 2 Incarnate Torrid. It's not the fastest, but then again, it's way easier compared to the first run, as it can kill those trash mobs that allow our team to just focus on dealing the most damage to the boss. Another thing that I am using right now for the Deep Archimedia is the Carrier Prime Sentinel with the Verglass weapons modded for radiation and cold. The confusion from the radiation procs gives you crowd control, increasing your chance of survival against level 400 plus enemies in the Elite Deep Archimedia, while the cold procs are handy against the necromech units in disruption missions. The slow does affect these units, ensuring that they won't reach the conduit and you'll be able to kill them easily while they are moving slowly. Unlike the Duviri circuit, the Deep Archimedia allows you to use Sentinel and other companions that give support to your Warframe in terms of survivability. Do take note that Carrier Prime is not a best in slot for the new mission, and you can use any Sentinel if you want, especially if you are running Incarnate Torrid that has no ammunition problem in Elite Deep Archimedia. Speaking of survivability, the combination of adaptation and the newly reworked Eclipse ability of Mirage seems to be one of the perfect combinations to help you survive all the enemies in the new game mode. Now, I'm not saying that you should subsume Eclipse in all your Warframes, as that would cost a lot of resources, but based on my experience, the 75% damage reduction on both shield and health is great for every Warframe, even those frames that are squishy and can be hit by enemies easily. Pair this with adaptation and you can easily survive the Elite Deep Archimedia, even if using Warframes with no actual survivability. The fact is, invisibility and shield gating become worthless in Elite Deep Archimedia sometimes, as you will get debuffs that decrease your energy per second. In addition, there's a debuff that forbid you from using your operator, hence you'll have no access to constant energy restoration through the Zinuric Focus School. This is not happening all the time, but in most cases you will rely on the energy orb drops in the new game mode, and obviously you would want Arcane Energized so you can maintain your energy to cast your abilities. Eclipse is a duration-based ability, and adding just primed continuity in your build allows you to have decent duration, enough to gather energy to recast the ability when it's close to expiring. But then again, it's up to you whether you will use Eclipse in your build for Elite Deep Archimedia or just rely on your allies to revive you in the game mode whenever you get knocked out by enemies. There are other options such as adding Hunter Adrenaline and Quick Thinking plus Prime Flow in your build, then slapping Adaptation and Arcane Guardian to somehow mitigate the damage of enemies. This kind of setup will give you good survivability at least, but a build like this would require a lot of mod slot, hence you would not have any room for increasing the effectiveness of your abilities. But honestly, it's better to build your Warframe for survivability than use the Incarnatorid to make the Elite Deep Archimedia easy, especially if you are running this mission with random players as you don't know what loadout they'll have in the Elite version of the game mode. Long story short, it's always best to be prepared than regretting failing a stage and redoing the whole 3 mission again. Now let's talk more about the rewards. If you were to ask me if it's worth spending 2 Netracell charges for a weekly Elite Deep Archimedia run, then I would say yes because of the higher chance of dropping Archon Shards. Digital Extremes did tweak the Archon Shard drop in the Netracell mission, and there are no trash melee arcanes that you can get right now, but you will still get higher chances of getting Archon Shards in the Deep Archimedia mission. Honestly, I have expected the final reward of the Deep Archimedia to be a guaranteed legendary melee arcane though, but I ended up being disappointed that you still play with luck, as the legendary rewards of the mission will give you either the legendary arcanes or the Tau forged version of the original Archon Shards. I guess I'm just asking for too much here, and we all know that Warframe has this time gating bullshit that hinders us to grind all that we need in the fastest time possible. This is a mechanic in the game that makes us come back and play Warframe if we want to get the stuff that we need. It's also a great marketing strategy if you want to get specific stuff in Warframe, but you don't have the time to farm the requirements to build it or the platinum to buy it. Then all you need to do is just take out your card, swipe it, and get some juicy platinum to purchase the Warframe or weapon in one press of a button. In this case, you still won't own the new legendary melee arcane fast in this new game mode, as the final reward will be competing with the Tau forged Archon Shards. This means that the melee crescendo and melee duplicate market won't crash that hard, and you can still sell this arcane for a high amount of platinum because of its rarity. In terms of usage though, the new legendary melee arcanes are not universally good, and it's only applicable in specific situations. If Arcane Energized was the last prize, then I would say that the game mode is worth it, but in terms of legendary loot, it fails to sketch the itch of wanting to play the game mode because of the awesome rewards. On the other hand, it becomes a necessity to play for players who love to maximize their build, and they will surely enjoy the Deep Archimedia run as it does have higher chances of dropping Archon Shards. Even if you get the normal variant of the shards, it's still good as you can use 3 variants of the same shard to form a Tau forged version of it. Another great change that Digital Extremes made in the recent Dante Unbound update is they moved the Archon Shard from Call's Garrison to the Cavia Syndicate. You can just farm standings from Cavia bounties and buy the Archon Shards from Bird 3 now. So basically, with all the changes to Archon Shard plus the Deep Archimedia game mode, you will most likely perfect your Warframe build faster. The only question though is where will you use that power aside from level cap and endless missions in the game? After trying out Elite Deep Archimedia in a few runs, I can confidently say that this is not the end game I am looking for in Warframe. It's another farming simulator game mode that allows us to grab more power for our Warframes. It's also good for farming some platinum with the legendary arcanes, but it's not really the best way to gain platinum, as both melee crescendo and melee duplicate are not considered universally good arcanes. These arcanes are rare, and this is the primary reason why they are priced high in the Warframe market right now. Overall, it's worth it to run Elite Deep Archimedia every week if you want lots of Archon Shards in Warframe. So that's all my thoughts and some basic tips on the new Deep Archimedia game mode. Now, I would like to know your opinion and experiences in your Deep Archimedia run. Let us discuss this in the comment section below. Before leaving, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel to help us with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in our next video. Squad Leader, signing off.
I'll never mistake the way you give me